Welcome back, dear listener. I am Aaron Twist, joined by my sibling,
Gabriel with a hint of twist. The twist of Gabriel. Twist of lime. I liked my martinis with a bit of cucumber.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did that do for you?
Well, you have martinis with gin. They're meant to be basically medicine back from when medicine didn't exist. So you just made like a bizarre fucking mixture of alcohol and sometimes heroin, and it'd just take the edge off whatever fucking parasite was killing you.
Yeah.
So like you put like gin and vermouth, and then you stir it like with fucking ice until you get a bit of water in there, and you get it to a temperature, and then you put some fucking cucumber in there, and like. Lemon and lime and the citruses are all fine and good, but cucumber is one of those very subtle flavorings that's there, but like, you can almost not notice it. And it's a very refreshing beverage after all of that. And it'll get you shit fucked as well, which is pretty
I believe that's where the classic saying came from, queer as a cucumber.
I mean, possibly, yeah. Like, I've never heard that, but I'll believe you. Like,
oh, wait, it's cool.
Cool as a cucumber.
As a
yeah.
cucumber, not
Right.
queer as a cucumber. Although now I'm adopting that.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
Because the cucumber is all the queerest of the vegetables. Although I think kumquat's probably a bit queerer.
Well, I think kumquat's just gay. Like, it's out and gay. I think, like, cucumber's got, it could be...
Quat.
Yeah.
It's such an odd sound, quat.
Quat, yeah. Like, it's like the term quaff for when you like slugging wine. It's like the qua and then the just don't blend well together in English, I think. Like,
Although I respect any vegetable that starts with cum. Starts with cum, ends with quat.
This episode is the cum leaf war. Nope, sorry, I miswrote that. The gum leaf war.
I mean, the cum leaf war is our sequel. It's a porn parody. Linda is played by me.
Which,
Everyone's played by me.
Yeah, but it's just all you.
It's a one-man show on Broadway.
Yeah. I mean, what else? What other wars were there in Australia? It was like the Emu War.
The Great Emu War.
There was the Battle of Brisbane. There's probably been a few riots or something. I know there was a cavalry charge against a bunch of Aborigines once.
There was the standard bald knob.
So this is based on one of the stories from Incontrovertible. No, it's Unbelievable. I think it was Unbelievable. And we start out in the twist. I mean, actually, now that I think about it, is a lighthouse because it has the spiral staircase, which is a kind of twist. So I feel like that there's been this like thematic thing with the house and the Twist family that I've just not been paying attention to.
I think I brought it up in the first episode.
Oh, fuck you then. Pete's riding on his hands.
Yeah, Pete isn't the brightest of chickens.
Well, like, people complain about the shit kids do these days. And like, okay, sometimes there's legitimate complaints. But like, what's Pete doing? Literally just sitting at home, riding like fucking whatever the girl's name is.
Zan.
Zan is a fox. Zan is a fox. He's just written... Zan is on one side of his hands and a fox on the other.
And he does it like, so he goes, Zan is a fox as he turns around his hands.
Yeah, he does like a little hand Macarena.
It's not even a puzzle. Like you'd think maybe it's one of those.
Yeah. Well, that's what because I got you
things.
to rewind it because I thought it was, because like the girls will make those little papercraft things that like, call you fat or say you love someone or something.
Yeah.
And
then you unfold it and then it relentlessly bullies a girl until she quits.
And
Still.
like, that's what I thought it was, but it's just like, he's just treating his hands like they're fucking Twitter. And just what did you do today? I wrote on my hands.
As opposed to Linda, who's sitting there studying and doing her homework, actually being of worth.
Actually being useful.
So Pete
is useless.
And then enter Tony with a package for Linda. And he says, "Oh, Linda, package is here for you." To which everyone's like, "Oh, what's in it?"
Yeah.
Bronson's like, "Maybe it's chocolates." And Dad's like, "Oh, maybe it's from an admirer." To which Pete, being the nice brother he is, immediately tries to snatch it from her and destroy it.
I know, right?
Like, just with such force.
I kind of really do feel for Linda in this episode.
Yeah.
You know, because like beyond like the obvious sort of things that sort of occur, like because the package is like makeup, and I don't know where she got it, like because eBay didn't exist back then.
I bet it was like a paper mail-in or something.
Oh yeah, it must have been. Like,
or
I
Avon.
didn't even.
Maybe Avon came to the.
That's possible. Because I didn't even think about that. I was just like, oh yeah, she got a package. Because like these days, it's just like, yeah, you got a package. You don't even have to think twice about it. And now that I think about it, it's like, wait, where did you like? Where did people even order stuff before the internet existed? You just call people on the phone.
Yeah.
Phone book. It must have been that. Like she could have called like a mall or something. I don't know. Get them to mail shit. Did they have that?
They had TV. They still had TV sales then.
I suppose, yeah.
TV Direct and stuff.
Call them up and be like, hey,
It's where the morning shows and stuff would sell
all
that crap. So it's probably from there.
Yeah, it might have been on like fucking, Carrie Ann or some shit. And like
Matron Ann.
So she's like trying to, like, this poor girl's trying to learn how to. It could have come from
Matron, because remember, Matron was trying to sell her makeup.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I kind of like that there's a continuity between the last episode and this one that I sort of like, even though that continuity exists in a bizarre dream fucking flashback that's, and then this episode's a dream too, but also it works a lot better.
Yeah.
Like, this episode's coherent. Even though it's fucking weird, it's coherent.
Yes.
So, like, points for that. But, like, she's trying to, like, because she makes fun of Pete for saying Zan is a fox and, like, calls him, like, a chauvinist for just thinking that the fact that she's attractive is important. And, like, granted, thinking that only being attractive is important is bad. You can't pretend like it doesn't matter at all,
Also, Pete is like a young boy in high school.
Yeah.
So he is not going to care about anything else.
Yeah. Like, because I mean, I'm sure, like, because there'll be some other element to his interest in Zan. Because, like, there's lots of hot girls. Like, they're just around, particularly like
she's
these
famous.
days.
She's a pop singer.
Like, there's an element of that. There are other elements there, whether or not Pete wants to sort of mentally acknowledge them. But, like, I ain't ever seen Jason Alexander win Sexiest Man Alive,
Which one's he? Is he the one from American Pie?
No, that's Jason Biggs. No, like...
Who's Jason Alexander?
Fucking stop talking for a sec. George from Seinfeld.
Right.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of fat bald dudes making the fucking pinups. Like...
No.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in Brazil or something, where men of short stature are... because all the women are tall there and lovely, so they're looking down and they can see the reflection in the head. It's a whole lovely thing.
I think you just completely invented a fantastic new stereotype for Brazil. They need them. They
can't be Sega forever. Right?
Yeah, they've had a hard time of it these last few years. So like she's trying, like, because she's, I didn't think about it till now, but she's like a girl trying to go through puberty in a house with just a dad, a retarded younger brother, and a shitty twin brother. So it's like, that's got to suck. Like, that has got to suck. You get no help. Like,
the word dad is used loosely.
Yeah, like...
Because Tony seems to be not all there a lot of the time.
Yeah, I can see him being alternating between not there and then trying to be like a new age helpful dad, but just being really embarrassing.
He's just horny dad. He's just thinking
well,
about...
I'm assuming horny dad's not an issue for the kids, but like, like she's not going to get...
when he leaves the kids just...
That's true. But like, honestly, I think a horny dad may be the only help she has, because if he can get Faye to be around a little more often, then at least Linda has some kind of like, she's a professional. She's got like...
Faye plans to kill the kids and take the lighthouse for herself.
Yeah.
I am queen of the lighthouse.
She's not like Matron, who's like a crazy old lady. Like there's, Faye looks like a good, she's a good role model for like Linda. Whereas like, at the moment, like Linda lives by basically by herself in a lighthouse with 3 dudes.
She lives by the sword and she dies by the sword.
Like, so that's gonna suck. Like it does. I'm not gonna pretend it doesn't. She's having a hard time of it, the poor dear. Cause that, cause she's like got a picture of some, home and away guy that she's
Hugh Townsend.
Yeah. That's not his real name. His real name's something or other. Something Cooper. I don't know. I can't remember. I looked it up.
Jason something.
Yeah. But like he's either like dead or making music now. I couldn't figure it out. But he did play a character in the Royal Flying Doctors TV show called Rollerblades. That was the character's name, and he was in several episodes of that.
Did he wear rollerblades?
I hope not. I hope that was just like, that was just the cool someone, because he couldn't even look up what was a cool word back when that show was on. So someone's just heard rollerblades were a thing.
What was the Royal Flying Doctors?
It was like a Australian drama series about the Royal Flying Doctors.
Was it for kids?
No.
Okay.
No, it was like a country practice. You know, it was
so maybe it was rollerblades because he flew a helicopter.
No, because he'd been too young. I'm nearly, because like, I don't know. My bet, because I tried to Google image rollerblades Royal Flying Doctor Service, which was not helpful. Because like, I think the internet forgets a lot of Australian shows exist. And look, fair enough.
That's fair.
Yeah. I'm not gonna, like, someone out there will, but it's not gonna be me. But I'm not gonna say that we shouldn't have like some kind of memory pit for like all these weird fucking bits and pieces. Because you know what? It happened to me today. I wanted to know what rollerblades from the Royal Flying Doctor Service looked like, and I couldn't find it. So.
And then we need to go to the memory dome, which is out there. We fight a dude, and if we win, we get to see the memory.
we get to remember.
If we don't, they take another memory.
Yeah,
it's how the currency works. It's really genius. We're ahead of the curve.
Linda's tried to like fucking, criticize Pete for caring about like looks and, then, look, I guess the reality, like, you got to fucking put a little effort in, but she's like just sort of scrolling makeup on herself. And
the makeup kit is supposed to be to look maturer. It says on it.
Yeah.
And Linda's having a bit of a hard time, and Pete and Bronson are hanging outside the door.
They're not making it better.
No.
They're just at the, like, hey, I don't want anyone at the bathroom door while I'm in the bathroom, like listening. That's weird. It's fucking strange. Don't do that.
And I'm pretty sure she's just like, she can hear them. Because it's not like.
No, they're talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So she is like, and they hear the music, so they get distracted by like the Phantom
I'm getting
Band again.
so bloody blue-balled by this music. It's not going to be worth the payoff.
Oh, fuck no. It'll just be like a ghost with a fucking,
tuba.
Yeah, I was going to say clarinet or some shit. 'Cause I think it's a clarinet. There's a kid someone practicing the tuba near my house now, and I can hear it.
That's great.
Yeah, I actually really appreciate that.
What's the sort of tune that he plays?
I can't remember. It's one of those, it's one of those fucking tunes. If you've ever been, you had your high school had a band or some shit, right? Yeah, so it'll be one of those dumb, songs that they were always practicing.
I actually don't even know if my high school had a band.
It would have. Like, my high school had a band, and there was like nobody there.
I think our music teacher was like, got in trouble for touching kids. So
whoopsie doodle.
I don't know. I might be also making that up.
So like they're fucking tormenting Linda, and then she tries to like leave the bathroom while her two idiot brothers are there making her life difficult.
So they go on either side of the door.
Yeah.
Which is a butt awful idea. And then she comes out and they proceed to scare her.
Well, yeah, because she looks at him and she's got like lipstick smeared all over her face. And like
she gets frustrated by trying to apply it and smears it all off.
Yeah.
And runs out. And they see that.
And they scream at her.
And she screams.
And falls down.
And falls down the stairs.
Yeah.
And boof, lands on her face.
And yeah, so now she's got like a broken nose and she's being rushed to hospital. Which I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's different for girls, but like if I had a broken nose, I'd probably just go, oh. I mean, if it was a completely different angle or shape, I'd be like, yeah, I could probably get that sorted out.
Well, I think she was unconscious, so...
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, she didn't get up, did she?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a go to hospital situation.
Because like, yeah, no, 100%. Like if you fall down, it's kind of like, you just get up and you're like, oh, my nose, kind of feel it around. But yeah, no, she was out. That's definitely a go to hospital situation.
Yeah, just a check.
Because I'm saying we could have had a different episode if Pete and Bronson did a Weekend at Bernie situation. And I'm upset we didn't get that now that I think about it.
Yeah, like Linda's just unconscious for the whole episode, but like she's got a date she's got to go to, so it's like fucking Bronson pretending to be a backpack like attached to her. We got to save this up because this is going in my shit's fucked TV series. That's gonna be the episode of that.
And can we get a little person to play Bronson? Like it's supposed to be a child, but it's clearly a 38-year-old man.
Yeah, really old midget. Like, so they're wheeling her into the hospital, and like at this point, I'm sort of getting like I suspect where we're going with like the story, and like so they, Pete makes a reasonably good nose joke about like a nose by any other name smelling is sweet. For some reason, like, because Matron's in the hospital, and it's like, that makes sense, because that's her job, yeah. And, like, you know, she's here to gloat over the fact that last episode's body shaming has been so successful.
It ruffles my feathers here because they're all sitting in there waiting for the news of Linda, and she comes out and they're like, oh, is she okay? And the first thing Matron does is get snarky and goes, well,
that's what you get for living in a lighthouse.
Considering the other consequences, yeah. I was like, look, Matron.
Shut up.
Shut the fuck up. Tony, grow a sack and stand up to this woman who's just being vile.
Lady, you're like, if you were a few inches shorter, I'd fight you. It makes sense for Gribble to be like, because they're trying to use this as leverage to like get him to sell the lighthouse because apparently it's dangerous now. And it's like, you can fall down any stairs. It's not just lighthouse stairs. It's not like someone makes like, fucking Benson's slippery lighthouse stairs, guaranteed to be the slipperiest.
I fell down a staircase.
You're sober?
Yeah, when I was young.
Oh, okay.
I fell down a staircase and someone caught me.
I was lucky.
Because I was bouncing down stairs. It was like a big staircase. It was like in Sydney up a bridge or something.
That's
I don't know.
Great. I don't know. The only time I went down a staircase was when I was like a toddler. And they'd plonk me in one of those little fucking, those wheelchairs, the little legs, and you can just scoot about.
Yeah.
And like, I've just gone, all right, off to the stairs. And I've just fucking, just legged it for that. And then, had to learn a harsh lesson about like fucking wheels and stairs and how those two things don't really interact very well.
I'm kind of upset you didn't become fused to the chair in some sort of MODOK-like creation.
Well, apparently I went down like, because I've fucking just gone off face first, but then the thing sort of tilted and just rolled a bit, and then kind of the wheels wedged into the bars of the steps. So it's like I kind of just got a bit of a barrel roll going, and then came to a dead stop, and just sat there looking confused.
Excellent,
but horizontal as well. And so, they're about to like dose up fucking what's her name, Linda, because she's talking about like having a munted nose and how if it's like this forever, she's gonna have to run away.
And the great part about this, and any hospital scene with anesthesia, they don't put the mask on like that. They don't look at you creepily, menacingly as they slowly put it down on your face.
I think it's like, because like anesthetist is a specific job.
Yeah,
it's like it's a whole own thing.
Yep.
It's like it's crazy too, because like, there was a time before that.
Yeah.
And it was like, we forget that like, man, so much of like modern surgery is predicated on the fact that they can zonk you out.
We don't put leeches on our bits anymore. Well, they still do some places, but mostly if you go into a hospital, they're not going to pull out a jar of leeches. Yes. Oh, you're coughing? Leeches. Sniffly nose? Leeches. Dick fungus? Leeches.
Yeah, well, they'll eat the dick fungus. So this is where I wrote down this episode is going to be an anesthetic hallucination.
Yeah. So because I've had surgery and been under, and they put the mask on first.
Yeah.
And then it flows. They don't get you to count and then put it on you because the gas has got to flow. It won't.
I know it's crazy
because black out as it gets.
Well,
to you.
I don't think I got some kind of injection. I think so. I had the drip in.
Yep.
And they were like, "All right, this is how we're gonna do it." And then you got to count. And then it was just like, okay, 10, 9, donk. And then like I just woke up and it was like a day later.
Yeah, most people don't get to the full count.
Yeah.
That's just to make you feel like you're sort of like a little bit in control and also when to expect it. And no, it just sneaks up on you.
I know, they should, soon the tendrils of darkness shall be around you. What? Like,
I'd love something like that. Yeah.
Just level with me. But like, I didn't get to take a dream train to fucking hallucination town, But like we don't cut. It's like a fade. And that tells us, there's like the fade in like, film's visual language suggests a connectivity, like you can like, it's not just like a cut. You can go whoop, and the analog space between that fade means like, oh yeah, there's some sort of connection between these two things. And she's on a train, and Hugh Townsend's on the train for some reason.
And I love it. What happened to your nose? Oh, I was in an accident. I had surgery. They tried to fix it, but they couldn't. So I'm nicking off. And nicking off is such an Australian thing.
I've not heard that elsewhere. Because, I mean, the thing about a lot of Australian slang is some of it's like weird old forms of British slang. And it mightn't get used much anymore in Britain, except in some fucking, like they've got these bizarre little pockets of hyper-dense, little cultural packets that are like 400 years old. And like they all live in a village and no one ever leaves. So like whenever I say this shit, because someone always goes, oh, I live in Upton upon Smythe, and people say that all the time here. And it's like, okay, how many people live there? And it's like just, 12 incredibly inbred families. It's like, okay. So it's sometimes hard to find which ones are like actually local developments or not.
Yeah.
But like, because I've heard nicking off as in like, leaving, and also nicking shit as in stealing it.
Yes.
I don't know if the two are related at all.
I don't think so.
And I'm not sure where it came from. I mean, I'm not even sure if it's really that etymologically related to Nick, as in Nicholas.
See, that's what I was just thinking. Nick Offerman was like, he invented it.
That is funny. That sounds like a Batman villain predicated on escaping.
Hello, Batman. It's me, Nick Offerman.
Well, he'd be like the escapist, but then like his real name would be Nick Offerman because, fuck anything that makes sense in those silly old things.
Wait, is it?
Although I say that, but
I swear there's someone actually called Nick Offerman.
Yeah, that's what we're talking. I thought that's what you were talking.
Yeah, no, it is. I was just making sure because
Roy Orbison, like the singer, his dad was Orby Lee Orbison, which sounds exactly like the street name of a Batman villain that throws circles. Like, that's the dumbest fucking thing of it. And like, I can't.
Orby?
Yeah. So it's like, all right, it's like Otto Octavius becoming Dr. Octopus. It's like, that's just ridiculous. Like, no one has that much. Yeah. No one has.
What is wrong with
I don't know.
the period of time back then?
I don't know.
Ethel.
Ethel's at least like, it's like, okay, Ethel, what's your name? Orby Lee Orbison. Fuck off. Like, no, it isn't. You're just making that up. So
Mildred.
Because the anesthetist is also on the train, but he's like some kind of bush dude.
He's a bush ranger, yeah.
Well, not a bush, like a bush ranger in the modern sense, not like the old timey sense of like a fucking, like
Ned Kelly-esque.
Yeah, like a robber or like social outcast who lived in the forests.
Yeah, no, he's a ranger that looks after the bush.
Yeah, an actual, he has a job, and like he's like, oh yeah,
the bushfires are going to be bad this time of year. They always are.
Then Nell picks Linda up at the train station.
That's just not Nell. She's Aunt Tuneless. And I mean, when she got off the train, I was like, oh, I didn't know that we were going back to a colonial fucking time and era.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was too.
Because it looked like the lighting and stuff made it look kind of like a little bit old-timey.
There was that sepia quality to the whole thing. And it's like, it's that thing of, though, is this like, 1905, or is this just like rural Australia? Because I feel like that's how, it's like if you go to Redcliffe, it's like going back to 1989.
Yeah.
And there's other bits of like Brisbane where you can just do that. You can just go visit what 1975 looked like, and so maybe the further you go out, the further back in time you go.
I feel with the other things we learn when we get to the house that it is modern time. It's just rural.
Well, yeah, because she had TVs at the house.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's got to be like at least post-50s.
And she does exclaim that they're black and white, though.
Yeah, so that suggests that there's color TVs. All right, yeah. So it's the same era in her dream brain.
Yeah.
But, like, just rural.
And now Nell busts out this awful accent, which at first... it just sounds completely off.
I know, like, because it's impressive. Because later on, I get the impression that it's supposed to be Scottish because she says "lassie" for like Linda. But fuck me running, like it just.
It sounds like someone's trying to do it Irish cross with an American accent. To me.
Wrote Nell's accent is accent, like it is. It's just foreign, and like weirdly, that's a very hard thing to do. Something that like imagine trying to make up a new accent. Like just, hey, sound like someone from somewhere else, but not from somewhere specific. Like you're basically fucked. You'd have to pick something, like you have to pick something weird, like maybe like one of the fucking Eastern European areas, and like I don't know, who spent a lot of time in Holland or some shit. If you went somewhere like that, maybe.
Or take a completely different language and just.
Well, I used to watch
shape it weird.
Like I used to watch German news because it was in English. It was like Deutsche Welle. It was like their current affairs program. And the guys on that had like, because they're fucking Germans, which is basically like Skynet. And so they spoke perfect English, but the English was so perfect it had no accent.
That's great.
Like, it wasn't an English accent, like, you know, because there's that received pronunciation that went around for ages. And then there's, like, you know, there's American English and there's various forms of, you know, there's Australian and like South. There's lots of different Englishes. And then there's this guy's English, and it sounded like, you know, those reasonably advanced but still free reading programs that you get on something sometimes. He sounded like that, but with the slightly unnatural twinge that those had, just gone. And yeah, this was like kind of like the same department as that, but like with a flavor. He was like neutral. Nels was like dialed up to 9. I had no idea what the fuck she was going on about.
No.
I wrote here, okay, gum leaf based hypnotism, maybe? Because because this place has, you know, it's got a Nell, but like this place also has a Gribble, but he's called Foxy for some reason.
Yeah, so we see Gribble Jr. sitting on a porch playing a harmonica as the Nell's wagon train rolls into town, and we learn that this is Foxy's place, and we see Foxy, as you say, Gribble, walk out the door, sees them, runs back inside, as Nell goes, oh no, here we go.
Starts putting on
earmuffs on.
Yeah, and gives.
I wrote down here head muffs, and because I was going to write headphones, I'm like, wait, they're not headphones. So I like changed to muff, and I'm like, wait a second, head muff.
Head muff. You know what? Like that. You could just get a head muff. Like, it'd be like one of these windsock things for the thing, but it just goes over your whole head.
Yeah. So she puts on head muffs, and she gives Linda some cotton to put in her ears. And she's like, you daft lassie, put these in your ears.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. What else would I do with the fucking, what am I doing here?
So he runs out, and then he starts playing a tune on the gum leaf.
Yeah, the tune is The Wild Colonial Boy.
Oh.
Yeah, it's an actual tune. I don't know why. And like, before anyone else asks, yes, human beings actually taught themselves to play the gum leaf a bit like a kazoo. Yes, it sounds kind of like the kazoo. No, you can't just hum through it like the kazoo. So it does require some bizarre degree of skill. And it is for not
I used to be able to do it.
That's weird.
Because I saw this episode and
you decided that you had to learn how to, I don't know, like fart through a gum leaf.
Well, I thought it would have powers like the episode. But it didn't. Obviously.
A lot of things in Australia can be played. You can just pick up an octopus and play it like a guitar, you know.
It tickles the shit out of your lip, though.
Actually, like, you remember that bit in The Simpsons where Flanders has, like, the bit of, like, you know, cigarette paper over the fucking brush?
Yeah.
It's a bit like that.
Yes.
But, like, just with a gum leaf, because for some reason it has, like, vaguely musical properties.
And they vibrate and it goes,
yeah.
It's cool. But yeah, so he plays the gum leaf.
But it doesn't appear to do anything. So, yeah.
On they roll off in their quest. And they come now. This part really fucking in my brain was just like, excuse me, when they were like double gum tree.
Yeah.
It's like, that's just 2 gum trees.
Yeah, also it's like, you know, we're not talking about like a dolphin with 2 heads here, you know?
Yeah, the gum tree's not one trunk and then 2
but
trunks
also
growing out sidewards.
Guess what? That happens all the fucking time. It's a tree.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
They grow.
Yeah, it branches.
Yeah.
Like literally there's a big thick bit and then another bit comes off. And sometimes those bits become the same fucking size and you've just got this fucking Y-shaped fucking tree. That's everywhere. But yeah, that's not interesting.
These are literally 2 trees side by side. It's not even an interesting mutant looking tree.
Well, it's like there's not a lot you can do to a tree to make it a mutant short of giving it like a face. Yeah. You know, like it's just look, this tree's got branches. Whoa.
If it had a face and was like, I'm the spirit of the tree. Yeah. Take my leaf.
I've made leaves that do weird shit.
I'd be like, okay. So we go past the tree. Nell talks about it a little.
Yeah.
So, and it's got a beware sign with a skull on it.
Yeah. That's what the skull's for. It's ammo, apparently.
Yeah.
According to Nell. Or whatever the fucking name is.
Tuneless.
Yeah, Nong.
Non.
Which sounds like a racial slur, but it isn't. I just want to stress that for any foreign listeners. Or maybe it is. I'm going to trick you into saying horrible Australian racial slurs that you won't find out until much later.
It's fine.
So they get to Nell's house, and it's just strewn with shit.
Yeah. So we see her 2 cars,
which are two
wrecks,
out.
because Linda thinks she's rich because she goes, "Oh, you must be rich," because she has 2 cars, 2 TVs, and the TVs are just broken TVs sitting out in the yard.
2 TVs used to be a measure of wealth. What a mad state that was.
That's nuts when you think about it.
Yeah.
And like the bigger your TV was, like I'm not talking about screen size, I'm talking about like just size.
Yeah. Is it a piece of furniture?
Yeah. Oh,
Does
wow.
it also double as a credenza? I don't even know what a credenza is. And then like a skull lands in the yard.
Yeah, she says, "Quick, get under cover."
And so, because like the idea is there's, like again, because they're just fulfilling the roles that they play in real life, like Foxy Gribble, which sounds like a terrible sex act, and Nong are having some kind of, territorial war. And like you think that they're kind of far away from each other, but they're not. Literally, like fucking Nong lives up a hill, and like Foxy fucking Gribble lives at the bottom of the hill, and they can see each other.
And he has a catapult.
Yeah, so Foxy Gribble has a catapult that he puts skulls into and shoots skulls at it,
which is insane.
Yeah, that's like that makes me think of like some kind of weird old fucking 8-bit video game. It was just like you could just put whatever in it.
Now, and she shouts at him and taunts him. She says, "I'm here, you monk." And it's like,
there's a lot that sounds like a slur too, because it was MUNK. It wasn't like MONK. She wasn't suggesting he was part of a pious religious order,
Although that's what the subtitles wrote.
Yeah. Well, that's not what. Yeah. That it definitely wasn't that.
I've never heard the word monk used as an insult. Have you?
I mean, maybe. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna rule it out because it sounds like it could be, and I just don't know. So like,
maybe it's like short for monkey.
Possibly. So does Nell start firing back here?
Not yet.
Not yet. That's right. Yeah, no, because I got those 2 bits like joined.
No. So at this point, Tony,
the Twists,
and
Pete and
Bronson rock up.
Yeah,
and they're at Foxy's place, and Tony's admiring a stack of skulls.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh, this is so interesting. What do you call this?" And he goes, "It's ammo." Tony goes,
"Must be a Japanese influence." Yeah. That's right. Yeah, because I wrote ammo. Ammo, Japanese influence. The fuck? Because I didn't know what the fuck that was about. Maybe it's reference to something. Maybe it's just some kind of broadside at the art community.
Yeah. So they ask where Aunt Tuneless lives.
Yeah.
And he says, "Do you know where Aunt Tuneless lives?" And Foxy's like, "Oh, like it'll cost you."
Yeah.
So Tony ends up paying him, and he goes, "Yep." He goes, "What do you mean?" He goes,
"Yeah.
Oh, I know where she lives."
Nah, I'm just fucking with you. It's up the hill.
Yeah, which is like cool, I guess. This crazy.
I feel like if you're gonna ask where something is, you might want, and before you pay a guy, maybe look at the other place, like within eyesight.
There's only 2 places.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go see if the other person will tell me where Aunt Tuneless lives.
And they go up, so they rock up there, and
the thing
Aunt Tuneless is giving Linda a lesson about putting tennis balls in the gutter, because if the fires come, the water in the gutter will fill up, stays in the traps, it won't come down.
Yeah, because they filled the rain gutters with water as like a defensive measure against the bushfires. I don't know how well that's going to work.
I assume it worked somewhat because we do it.
Yeah, but then the place also burns down all the time, so...
Yeah, I guess it's just something to like, it's a bit of coolness to sort of alleviate.
It can't hurt.
No. You know what does hurt? Like, having alcohol everywhere. Which is what a lot of Australians do, just have pantries full of alcohol.
Yeah, and there was that like, fashion to just have big barrels of petrol around your house, which I feel like, wound up being more...
It didn't really help.
No, that was a bad fashion.
Yeah. The Twists show up, and they're trying to convince Linda to come home.
Yeah. And like the Twists, they're in a modern car and have their regular form of dress. And also, like, I feel like, because I thought this at the time, like, they're somewhat, like, they don't fit with the world, you know? Because, like, Linda's wearing this fucking, I don't know, a fucking petticoat, an outside petticoat or some shit. Like, it's a weird dress thing that, you know, from the olden times.
Yeah.
It's outside of her regular outfit, and her hair's out and stuff like that. And so, like, everyone looks like they're part of this weird, maybe fucking, you know, 1800s, maybe fucking 1970s world, except the twists, who just look like themselves. And it's like that thing where, like, you get the sense that it's like them poking through the coma dream or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
So they say, now Bronson says, don't worry, you're only a little bit ugly, which is, I get it. He's a little brother. He's trying to say the right
It's
thing.
not that bad.
But
Yeah,
also, shut up, Bronson. Bronson's kind of the Meg of the family.
I mean, yeah. It's also, it's like, I don't know. It's hard because you look at this, it's like, look, it's just a fucking dented up nose. Like, they can't fix that. You know?
Well, apparently they couldn't. That's why she ran away.
Like, that's the problem, is it, like, you know, the narrative has to tell you they can't fix it. But, like, that's just one of those ones where it's like, if it were, like, set in the 50s, I'd be like, all right, yeah, they probably don't know how knives work and can't fucking cut a nose up or whatever. But, like,
it was the early 90s. All we had was Play-Doh.
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay. So we fixed the nose with Play-Doh, and look, there we go.
So, like, they chase Linda up onto a roof, which is a reference to what we used to do with the ugly girls, the rural areas. Just hound them up onto the roofs. And then she threatens suicide. And unlike a lot of girls that threaten suicide, actually seems to go through with it. But then it turns out that there's, like, the corpse of a daybed.
Which is, she's not bouncing that high.
Oh, hell no. No, I've literally jumped on one of those things.
Especially with the boots she was wearing, her ankles would have gone straight sideways.
Yeah.
And down she would have gone. That would have been a very bad accident.
That'd have been one of those ones that you see on, like, a TikTok that cuts off just at the impact.
Yeah.
And, like, you're kind of thankful for it.
But you're also curious.
Yeah, you're just like, okay, I got to go find the fucking 3-minute YouTube clip that this has been stolen from. So then she gallops off into the bush, which is just a bad idea in general. I mean, there is nothing in the Australian forest but, like, death, poisonous things, and then things that aren't even poisonous but just friggin' suck. Like, there are areas of Australia that are, like, you know, pleasant, but, like, the forest, the bush here is very pointy, just generally. And, you know, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, no. I don't like being pointed.
Yeah, so she's, like, hiding in the forest, and, like, Foxy Gribble, and did we ever even learn what his kid's name? I'm just going to call him Sub Gribble. You know, are stalking her through a forest. I wrote, 2 bushmen stalking a girl through the forest. This will end well. And so we get to what the fucking magical element of this episode is, which is, if you get a gum leaf from this mystery gum tree and you play the wild Colonial Boy through it, you transfer injuries you have to anyone who hears it.
Yeah.
Which is fucking demented.
Yeah. So Foxy giggles and cackles away, and then he plays the tune, and he has a black eye.
Yeah.
And boom, makes a bang noise, and then it's Linda.
Yeah,
goes,
Linda has the black eye.
And now she's got the black eye.
Which is, again, I just wrote, this is a deranged idea.
Yeah, no, this episode was batshit.
And it's that, like, again, we'll get to it at the end, but it's constructed better, but, like, that's, like, you know, why the wild Colonial Boy? You know, it could have been anything. I mean, if I was going to be doing this, I'd be like, oh yeah, they play Waltzing Matilda or something.
Yeah.
You know, or like, yeah, because, you know, they had those assassins in Kung Fu Hustle who used, like, one of those giant Chinese harp things, and, you know, they could play it in a way that would, like, cut and, like, bruise and stuff. So it's like the idea of some kind of sonic weapon being generated out of, like, a magic gum leaf is like, all right. But then, you know, you've just added 5 extra elements that sort of just really just confuse this matter. You know, like, oh yeah, it transfers injuries. And it's like, so I gotta injure myself first and then hope that, like, the other person's not doing the obvious thing of, like, I don't know, having a podcast going in the earphones or some shit.
Yeah. So Linda goes back. Tony and the boys are just starting to leave because Nell's like, look, it shouldn't matter of your looks, but it does.
But it does, yeah. Like, no shit.
You just got to go away. Give it time. So she's like, okay, she leaves. Tells her to come out. Oh no, what's happened to your eye? And then she explains she heard a tune and stuff, and she goes, "I'll get you, you mucking dogs." Now, mucking dogs is clearly supposed to be fucking dogs.
It may as well be for the accent Nell's putting on.
Yeah, and it's just like, that's too close.
So I wrote here, like, being up on the hill, like, that's some, like, gives Nell a Gallipoli-like advantage. Because if you're, like, because fucking Foxy Gribble has to use a catapult to get shit up a hill. And it's like, all right, that's a good way of getting anything up a hill. But also, if I'm up the hill, I absolutely 100% have the throwing stuff advantage. You know, I don't have to do much. I could probably reach his house with my arm. So she's got like one of those clay pigeon shooters, you know, the thing that flings the discs, except she's putting like dried, you know, cow pats in it.
Which she doesn't tell Linda. She just goes, "Can you grab those?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, dried cow dung makes the best ammo."
I mean, as somebody who has thrown dry cow pats at his brother, I will say that they... Like, the thing is, they're kind of like the Nerf bullet of shit. Because once they're dry and you can pick them up, it's like, yeah, they'll actually fly pretty good. And yeah, you can kind of bean your brother with them. But they're fundamentally very light.
There is no way that pigeon shooting machine is launching these things. They would be just shattering.
They would, yeah. Like on the release, it'd just the forces involved would just, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some value to having a machine that like flings exploded shit down a hill if the person you don't like lives down the hill.
This is what we need to do. We need to crowdfund myth busting for Round the Twist, and we'll have we'll get a clay pigeon machine and we'll get some cow shit and we'll try this and see if they stay consistent.
I mean, I feel like I feel like it would vary from like shit to shit. Like that. I feel like maybe you could get some, but I don't think it'd be a regularly successful thing. And again, even if it does fly, you're not, you know, if someone's like, okay, I'm going to use a fucking flinging machine to hurl either a cow skull at you or cow shit at me. It's like, I prefer the cow shit because the cow skull is going to do damage. Like, I know that. Like, even old cow skull is still bone. Like,
yeah.
You know, there's horns and teeth.
It's probably sharp.
There's sharp bits on it. Like, so like fucking, yeah. I've thrown dried cow feces at my brother. It can hurt. And then Nell falls in a hole.
I wrote that too. Nell falls into hole.
Nell fell. Nell fell.
Oh, Nell fall down.
I also wrote, this is the most Nell has had to do, and it's technically not Nell. Because this whole episode's like that actress gets to flex, you know?
Yeah. She tells Linda to get me helmet, and she brings her this old war-looking helmet.
Yeah.
Old infantry.
World War I little pot helmet.
And so she tells Linda to stay here.
Yeah, because she's going down to like, you know.
She's going to get a gum leaf.
Yeah, so she goes, because she fell in a hole. So she goes and gets a gum leaf. And then Nell blames war on men as she's going off to fuck with like, you know, Foxy Gribble. And Linda questions that. And then she, you know, Nell says, well, this is different. It's us against them. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Unlike all the other wars. It's good to know that like us versus them makes it makes it
family.
Okay.
It's us against them.
Yeah, we're family. It's us against them. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's good. As long as it's us against them. I was against this war business when I thought it might be something else. Like when there's two sides fighting.
When they said we're family, in my head it immediately popped to that Vin Diesel meme that's been popping up everywhere.
I haven't seen any of the Fast and Furious movies, so like they're just, you know.
I saw the original. I saw Too Fast, Too Furious, and that's it.
I did see a list of like what the names are in Japanese, like when they're released in Japan, and they're nuts, and they sound like far more interesting films. I mean, by the looks of things, they're getting fucking crazier now. And I don't know, maybe some of these later, you know, borderline ironic ones might be more fun, but I don't know. I'm not really a car person, so I just don't. You know,
I got in trouble when I ran a promo for the Fast and the Furious 7 because I called it Fast and the Furious 7, and it wasn't called Fast and the Furious 7, it was called like Furious 7.
Okay.
And that was really fucking stupid.
You big stupid dummy.
Yeah, they sent an email because this was at the bar. They sent an email going, yeah, could you not just make sure that Aaron doesn't call her that again? And it's like,
Furious 7.
It's like, what? But the franchise is Fast and the Furious. It's not like there's a competing franchise out there that has the name Fast and the Furious and we can't use the name. Yeah. It's just, it was called that in other countries too. Yeah. But in Australia, for some baffling reason, it was called Furious 7. I think it's that
That's weird.
in Australia we have a tendency to abbreviate the shit out of anything and everything if we can.
Yeah.
It's what
Some of it's
on
kind
the
of
tail
embarrassing
end
and
of
dumb.
TV. I used to hate it because ads would used to do it all the time. They'd take full show names and just be like, next on an all new Raymond, and it's like, it's Everybody Loves Raymond. The show's not called Raymond, and that gets my goat.
And Linda, as they're going, as like, you know, Nell's going off to wage the acceptable war, you know, Linda suggests that the, you know, villains maybe not as bad as they are, but like, you know, then she goes down and like fucking plays a tune.
I like that Nell is sneaking up and Gribble Jr. sees her full on, knows she's there, and just sighs and puts cotton buds in his ears.
Doesn't
and
tell his dad.
No, doesn't say anything, just watches.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's you little shit.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's true to character, though. And so Nell plays Wild Colonial Boy, and because she fell in a hole and her leg hurt, now fucking, you know, Foxy Gribble's leg is hurt.
And she does the very cartoonish thing of dropping her crutches and doing a little jig.
Yeah.
Which is...
I mean, did she give him her menopause as well? Like, what's the rules on this, you know? Like, if some lady's got period cramps, can she broadcast those into me? Or if I've got prostate cancer,
as far as I know, it's only one, your ailment, your current ailment, the most recent one you got. So if I cut off your arm, then broke your nose and you blew it, then you get the broken nose. I don't think you'd lose the arm either. So Nell, she sneaks up on Foxy, lets it have it. He covers the ears. Then it cuts to Nell and Linda at sunset talking about how it all started when they were 10 years old between her and Foxy. And he gave her pimples, warts, and measles. She stopped after a while because she just, wasn't so childish. You can only pass an illness on once, and it only works once with a gum leaf.
Yeah, after the gum leaf has been used, it must be disposed of. But fortunately, there's lots of leaves on the tree.
To which then we smell smoke.
Uh-oh.
And there's a bushfire, naturally. And it's Foxy's place. We cut to Foxy and his son trying to...
Gribble, yeah. They're doing that thing where, like, there's a fire and you can't really do anything about it because you don't have a hose or water. And so, like, Gribble's, like, running around with, like, a bucket of, like, I don't know, some leftover Vaseline. And Foxy Gribble is just whacking the fire with a bag because that's just the best you can do. And so, Linda's like, maybe not so bad, so they got to go help him. And really, in Australia, like, shit's got to pause for a second while you put out the fucking apocalypse.
Yeah. And so they show up and Nell says, don't you say anything. And there's a great line here from Foxy Gribble, and it's shut up and beat. And that made me laugh.
Barkley, shut up and beat.
Yeah.
Foxy, shut up and beat. Well, Nell had a great line after that, which I wrote down. I'd have done the same for a dingo, which I think demonstrates some of the malleability of Australian English in terms of being able to just completely wholesale make up idioms. Because that's not a phrase, but it sounds like it could be one, and so it is one, I'd have done the same for a dingo. And then we see that the fire's burnt at the catapult in, like, a big fat metaphor.
And a lot of the land.
By this stage, I'm kind of thinking, all right, the episode's been going for a while. It's like 20 minutes long, so, like, is this going anywhere? And then, Linda mentions the tree. And
they're all sitting around looking a bit smoky.
Yeah.
The kids are sort of snuggled together, and they're having some tea. And Linda's like, oh, the war's over. It's all nice now. Oh, no, the tree.
And so they go off to fight over the last possible leaf.
Whereas the Twist family show up to literally just bushfires, trying to get Linda to come home.
Yeah.
Who's in the middle of the bushfire. There's one leaf left on the tree. They try to get to it, but it's too hot. And the leaf falls down. And of course, Linda catches it.
Yeah.
To which then Nell turns on her.
Yeah, like, because, like, now Nell, Foxy, and Gribble are, like, trying to, like, attack Linda to get the last leaf. And then, Bronson is shouting, attack Linda, attack Linda. And
use your judo.
Yeah. And so Linda uses the thing, but, like...
She falls down and they menacingly push at her and she says, stay back or I'll use this thing's power.
and she uses it, but like
I think it's bullshit that she can just play that.
Yeah, because that's I thought that as well. No,
tune,
it's just fucking because it's hard.
Yeah,
like I couldn't do it, and like I tried a couple of times,
and let alone a tune.
Yeah,
like that you don't know.
Yeah, because like if you pick, it's not like it's easy. It's not like it's like a fucking hollow stick that you can kind of get a flute sound out of just by blowing on it like in a second.
Yeah,
like this is a weird fucking thing you're doing, so it takes a weird someone's gonna teach you how to do it. You can't just go, oh yeah, fucking. He's just gonna pick up a leaf and just go at it, and you're gonna look like a moron. And you're not gonna get a fucking tune, let alone fucking some kind of magic, pain spreading tune. And like, because this is like, I don't know, like, yeah, the Nell like fucking turn was just a little bit rough and quick. I mean, granted, it had been set up a little bit, but like, it's like okay, because she's part of this cycle of war. So like. And like it feels like at the end here, it's like, okay, so you're supposed to like not go for aggression or whatever. But she used because like Linda uses it, but because the fucking, Foxy, fucking Lumpy and Dumpy have they plug their ears. So, Linda uses it and now
they slowly uncover their faces and you see that none of them have the nose. But then they start laughing and pointing.
Yeah. And her family have the nose.
Which is great.
Yeah. And so I guess that's like punishment for using the weapon.
So she's going now. This is the other part that annoyed me. It cuts to the train, and she's on the train again. She would ride back with the family if she was going back to start with, because they're literally there.
The family's existence in this dimension is like a weird thing though, because it feels like there are times when like they're just not there exactly, which is kind of and it's like all right, this unlike a lot of situations, this is an established fucking anesthetic, hallucination. So it's like, all right, fine. She's just fucking on the train. And the train represents the fucking journey between the dream world and ours.
And now Hugh's on the train as well. And he goes, oh,
that's right.
You're cold. And goes and shuts the window that is literally next to her.
Yeah,
she's cold. Because, she's sitting next to an open fucking window. Yeah. She could have shut herself.
I know. Maybe she's hot and wants the fucking window open, chuckles. But like, fucking Hugh like mentions her nose specifically.
Yeah, he
says, which is a little
nice
bit weird.
Nose.
Yeah, nice nose. Don't say that's weird, man.
That's weird.
It's fucking strange.
Hey there.
Sup?
Nice nose.
What? Nice fucking nose.
The ranger's there as well, and he says, "Oh, see what I told you? Bushfires.
Don't worry though, everything grows back."
And she's like, "Ah!" and wakes up to.
I wrote, this is the ketamine version of the nose break episode of the Brady Bunch. Basically, yeah. I'm very accurate in that statement. And like, so the twists are all wearing masks. So Linda's like, take off your masks.
Also,
so she can...
they weren't medical masks.
Yeah,
they were construction masks.
I guess they just didn't have, they probably had.
But the doctor had one.
Did he?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he had one too.
He had a normal face mask.
Maybe they had like one face mask, and just because they're like on sets and stuff, they were like, hardware masks for like set construction and shit. So they probably just had a bunch of those around.
Yeah.
Or I could also see like, because they're out in the middle of fuck nowhere. So I could see weird rural hospitals in Australia just having like whatever's around kind of attitude.
True.
And then they take the masks off and their noses are okay, because I suppose the lesson of all of this has been...
And Gribble's in the corner going, I've drawn up a contract, but then it goes, and he seems to have the knee injury. So it's kind of it's like, oh, is it?
And Linda's got
take the masks off and they're normal, but Linda opens her hand and there's a gum leaf in there, to which the episode ends.
Yeah, and that's
it.
Every fucking dream thing in shows always has that bit where like someone's brought back some fucking artifact from the dream dimension.
I'm sick of it.
Yeah, I'm going to the goddamn uni and I'm getting them to scan that shit because I want to know what it's made of.
Exactly.
Did my dream manifest? Like, is it made of dream molecules? Like, are those a thing? Like, is that, or is it like just a leaf?
Reproduce them to make anything.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of dream sequences used in children's TV shows because it's too complex a thing for 22 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, this one did better than the last episode.
Oh,
because it was,
for sure, yes.
It seemed like a coherent idea. And they got to the dreamland, within 5 minutes. Like, so the episode could actually happen. So there was at least a story that took place in the dream world. The dream world came back. Like, this was that trope executed in a way that was functional.
I felt there wasn't enough time focused on the actual gum tree leaves and usage, because we got like
like the black eye went and then the knee and that was about it.
that
Not much of a war.
no.
I mean, I suppose like it was probably better in the book. But like
And just like I remember a few of these images from this episode, it just burned in my brain. And the thing is, blowing the leaves and the nose. I remember that purely, and I remember the leaves being used a lot more. So
I remember the title, but I
there
don't
we
remember
go,
any of
brain filling in those gaps.
I mean, again, it was like it was. I mean, it was a lot better than last week's.
Yes,
which was just a fucking fever dream.
Yeah, I'm more interested in episodes that take place
in the
well,
they don't have to spend time having a fucking. I mean, like, look. It's a hard one to adapt because the setting's so fundamentally different. Like, they could have maybe just done it. I mean, really, I suppose they could have just done it like, they could have just found a gum tree near the fucking lighthouse.
Yeah, it could have just grown on the beach.
Yeah.
That's why it was really weird. Yeah, because it was a gum tree on the beach.
Fucking fertilized by ghost fucking seagulls.
Yeah.
So there we go.
So, yeah, I don't, because, like, the other thing that kind of interests me is the continuity that they're trying to sow through the show. With the music and other elements, and that's kind of what I want to see more real world episodes.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we've had 2 dream sequence episodes in a row.
That's a bit much.
And that's not
Space
a good idea.
those out.
Yeah, because you basically, because now we've had like a 2-week sojourn from like the main plot, you know. Well, like the most we get is like, oh yeah, ghost clarinets again. But also that's been in every episode, so it's like, all right, you know, where are we going with this?
We need to pay.
We need a little bit
soon.
more. All right, so I got the questions now. We've got, have you ever felt like this, Aaron?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever felt either ugly or pretty? Have you ever been hospitalized for an injury? And can you play an instrument?
Okay.
So have you ever felt ugly or have you ever felt pretty?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Care to elaborate for the listeners?
Not really.
Okay.
So, like, I have a... Are we talking about pretty or handsome?
Well, I mean, like, it's,
Can it be each or?
Either or. Like, either or. Like, handsome's fine. I just felt like, you know,
anytime I wear a suit, I feel like handsome as fuck.
Yeah, fair cop.
Like, I love wearing a suit, but I also hate wearing a suit.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, the problem is, like, there's not a lot of times in Brisbane with the weather where a suit is comfortable to wear because you need like a fucking singlet or an undershirt. You need the fucking, you know, the white overshirt. I mean, the vest can be nice, but you can easily omit the vest. But like then the jacket, and the jacket's, well, now you're hot. You know, unless it's like proper fucking winter, you're just always going to be a little sweaty.
It's why most times I've worn a suit has been to go to a wedding or something like that. Yeah. And usually that's been interstate. So somewhere like Canberra and stuff, so that's cold.
Actually gets cold.
Yeah, so that's been lovely. But yeah, as for feeling ugly, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, this is most of the time. Yeah.
I mean, everyone has those self-esteem points where they look in the mirror and be like, I don't like that.
Just, oh, fuck me.
Yeah. Like, especially after like a hard night like of drinking or something.
Oh, yeah.
When you like look up and you're just bleary-eyed and just...
There's a photo of me that I put on Twitter where I was wearing that fucking... One of my housemates put that Justin Bieber beanie on me. And yeah. I was absolutely catastrophically hungover. And I look like a old man's penis. Like my skin is just that texture. Like it's blotchy because I'm struggling to stay alive. I've got like just the worst eye bags and just bleary red eyes. And on top of all the fucking, you know, topping on this fucking sundae is this ridiculously, and it's a shitty, like it's not a good beanie. Like it's one of those ones where like the Justin Bieber element has just been really artificially pasted over. And it's just fucking hideous. Great. The other time I felt really fucking ugly, just, you know, beyond the norm was when I was wasted at a friend's house and I was talking about needing a haircut. It was like, I'll cut your hair for you. And like that sounds dumb, and it was, but like also his girlfriend was a hairdresser, so I'm like, all right, maybe he's like, I don't know, paid attention or done some shit. I was like, you know, he could probably like. So the last thing that I said before it all went to shit was, "You're not giving me an undercut, are you?"
Oh no.
He's like, no, and then he proceeded to give me the most savage '90s undercut that I've like I didn't have that bad a fucking thing when I was like 7 years old in the actual 90s. Like it was just fucking terrible. And there was nothing I could do about it until I got home. Like, so it was just like, I gotta get on a train and go fucking, and I'm just looking at this in the mirror and just like, Jesus shit. And I just had to go, okay, this is what you look like. The people who are looking at you are strangers. It doesn't matter. You just have to get through this, and you have to get home and shave your entire head. And that's just what happened. I was like, oh, starting again, just off it all goes. And I hate shaving my head because then I look like a white supremacist. And, you know, that's brings on a host of other fucking problems. The prettiest I've ever felt is, well, I mean, it's during what you'd categorize. Yeah, I mean, as explicitly as just sexual assault. Like, doing bar work, like, after a while, the sort of, like, drunk girls get sort of annoying and just horrible. But, like, at first, you know, when there's this, you're not used to it, so the attention's kind of amusing. And the other two times would be, like, when I've had a car full of girls, like, hoot at me, you know, as they're driving by. Yeah. And see, for me, that's fun, because, like, it doesn't happen very often, and also, you know, there's nothing a car full of girls going to do to me that I don't want done, you know? So for me, it's just a novelty.
I remember a photo.
But that's the prettiest I've ever felt. Was like the car full of girls. I remember a photo
of you eating a big like ham leg.
Why do we have to keep talking about why I'm ugly?
This isn't about ugly, but this is just about.
Why are we dwelling on this?
Just the photo of you eating that big ham leg.
Yeah.
And like your eyes roast. Got overexposed so they were red. And I just posted it under it.
I know.
The photo of Homer eating the cake.
From the fucking Harvard application in Homer Goes to College. And it looked dead on like it, and it was a complete accident. And I took one look at it and knew I'd been so perfectly burnt that there was nothing I could do. Just like, God fucking damn it.
Oh, shit, yeah. No, but a time I felt really ugly was a photo you took of me when we were drinking that $2 wine.
Oh, was that when you had the carrot in your mouth?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone looks bad when they're fucked up. Like, because it's like the polar opposite of how you feel.
Yeah. Because I felt great.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't feel great when I had the fucking, but like there are other ugly photos of me when I'm actually drunk. And it's like, yeah, no, I felt great then.
Yeah.
All right. Have you ever been hospitalized for an injury?
Unless you count my spine. I remember fracturing my arm.
Ugh. They had to have taken my skateboard. They had done something for you for that.
You know, I think I went to the hospital for that.
Yeah, you must have.
Because, I ran over. My arm went under the wheels of the skateboard.
Ugh.
Yeah, and it kind of twisted under me. And, so I fractured my arm.
Like, the only bones I've broken have been, like, pinkies, toes, and pinkies and shit, which I just don't think count.
No.
You know, like, that's just what happens to them. You know, like, my left pinky finger doesn't go straight anymore because I broke it at some point and didn't notice. Like, fucking... I had to discuss... Like, I remember being just wasted and just putting my hand out and just realizing that I couldn't make my fucking finger go straight. And I can't even, like, grab it and bend it. Like, there's just some weird fucking kink in it now.
Okay.
Have I ever been hospitalized for an injury? I think I've been hospitalized for an injury. I've been hospitalized for asthma, but that's not like an injury.
Yeah.
I mean, one time, like the craziest thing I saw was like my brother having like really bad appendicitis, because that shit fucking just crept just up on you in an instant. Like Ben's like, my stomach hurts, and I'm like, you know, because I'm just like, yeah, whatever, liar. And then in like half an hour, he was like pale and cold, and it's like, oh, okay, we got to go to the fucking hospital. And then literally that night, like they was just like, yeah, your appendix has to come out now. And it's like, okay. And I remember, like, because that was crazy because it was just so quick. Like, I didn't even fucking, it's like, yeah, what happens? Well, you could fucking die if they don't do that. And then fucking, when we were in there visiting him after he'd come out of the fucking surgery, they, you know, while they were in there, they put the morphine into him. And it was crazy because you could see him injected into the thing that they had in, like the drip. And you said, go around, and it goes into Ben and goes, yeah, it makes my arm cool. And then you could see, he's like, my shoulder's cool. And then it goes up onto his brain. And then immediately he's like, it's like, wow, that's just nuts. You could just watch it happen. You could just watch the morphine go just straight over his brain, and then just, all right, well, now you're fucking...
My brother...
Now you're out.
Ran into a tree on a motorbike.
All right,
bam, face. You know, he's wearing a helmet, but still, so bleeding and shit like that. I had to go to the hospital for that. I had to go to the hospital for my testicles. I don't know if that's so much an injury, but
what happened to him?
So I woke up and I had pain
in
my testicles.
Right.
So I had to stay home from school because it was
your dad punching you in the junk while you were asleep.
It was really sore, and it didn't get better, so we had to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And they were concerned that the tubes may have been twisted.
Yeah, torsion.
Yeah, so they had to cut open the sac.
Yeah.
And made sure they weren't. They weren't. So
What's wrong with them?
I had my sack. Just I don't know, just sore.
Okay.
Sack cut open for nothing. Well, because you can't exactly X-ray a sack, you know.
I feel like there's probably something you could do these days. I don't know,
Probably
maybe like a fucking.
maybe a
well, can't they use
gel.
those things? Yeah. Well, they use because I've had them. The shit they use to look at like babies and women.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I've had them do that to me for like my knee and like my hip and shit.
This was a long time ago when I was young, so it's possibly.
I mean, then though you'd be sitting there because that gel's cold sometimes, and you'd be sitting there while someone's having to slather your balls in fucking the viewing gel. That'd be unpleasant.
I remember because
I'd probably still go that rather than having the fucking sack cut open though. I don't want my nuts.
Because I was a kid, and they had a Super Nintendo.
That's pretty good.
With Donkey Kong Country 2, because I remember playing that in the hospital.
Play that, yeah.
And I'm like, that's pretty rad.
Yeah, and they let you cut your sack open for that. Donkey Kong Country 2, that was a good one.
Donkey Kong sack.
Can you play an instrument?
I used to be able to play the clarinet. That's the instrument I learnt.
Nerd.
I can play a little bit of guitar and piano.
All right. I can play a little bit of piano and a little bit of ocarina.
I can play that too, yeah. Slide.
Ocarina sounds like the recorder, but it's just harder to play and weird.
Yeah.
Because they used to sell them in Australia like before they were even a big deal because of like Legend of Zelda. Like you used to get like these little weird like egg-shapey ones.
We also use them out west to summon rain.
And I was learning piano for a bit, but that was like then the virus kicked in and we had the lockdown and stuff. And I was like, all right, I had to cancel my lessons. And then like, because like it's one of those situations where I'd like to learn because I did piano when I was a little kid, but then the school ran out of money, so the piano classes went away. And I've always been kind of annoyed by that, So I was like determined to learn it. But then because of that shit was in the way, and like we didn't really know when the fuck that was gonna get resolved, and look, it still fucking isn't, to be honest. So I was like, all right, well, what can I do in the interim? And I've got like this kind of like long space out of my house, unfortunately still have in the new house. And I've always wanted a longbow. So I just like one day just went to an archery store and bought a longbow and some arrows and set up a target under the house. And so I've just been sort of like doing archery.
A longbow's an instrument.
Yeah, I mean it makes a noise. It goes tong when you fire an arrow, and then the arrow hits something.
You get
and
a rhythm
start
going.
Yeah. Oh no, it's really enjoyable. Like the thing about piano is like I was trying to also learn to read music, which is very tricky. Like if you've got no experience
at your age as well.
Like it just requires energy. But the problem is, because I'm this age, there's a bunch of stuff I'm already sort of good at that requires less energy. And like, again, because I've done martial arts for a big chunk of my life and, have good hand-eye coordination, I was pretty well instantly reasonably good at the fucking bow and arrow. Like just from square one, I can constantly put it in like an A4 piece of paper I've printed out as my target. And that's fun. So it's fun just being able to go, all right, thunk, and just like, and it's a weapon. So it's just fun. It's fun having like a big angry. I've never fully drawn it though, because I will tell you that fucking thing. The longbow was like considered cheating for a while, for like a reason. It is like there's some fucking strength in that bugger, and so I found that out the hard way by putting a hole in the metal garage door, which I didn't think was going to happen. I really thought that's not going to do that. That's like tonk. I was like, Gonna have to fucking sort of bend that back a little bit with some pliers and a hammer and 20 minutes of fucking swearing at it. It's fine though. No one noticed, So yeah, I suppose I can play the devil's harp, which is what I'm going to call my longbow now. All right, now we have to fucking read the horrible things that people have sent us to talk about, which I'm beginning to feel like they're using us as therapy, I think.
Does that mean we get paid a therapist rate?
I feel like it should.
Because I feel 100% it should.
All right. Okay, so first one. I mean, it doesn't say anything about names. It says like Silas. We'll just call him Silas. Okay. Greetings from Virginia, America, to our favorite Australian YouTubers. My wife and I have been thoroughly enjoying these podcasts. I've never been mocked by a teacher, but there was one time when a teacher mocked a student and it backfired hilariously. In one of my history classes in high school, incidentally, the teacher was related to Rasputin and the family resemblance was uncanny. I feel like you're burying the lead here. Like that. My teacher was related to Rasputin is a story, and one that I am somewhat curious about.
Yeah, that's gonna overhype everything from now, because that overshadows it. Because like Rasputin, I need to know, was he lover of the Russian queen?
We had this extremely ditzy blonde girl, complete with the brain drain side ponytail. I can't remember what she said to prompt the teacher's response, but he said if brains were dynamite, you wouldn't have enough to blow your nose. Her response was a preppy, I know how to blow my nose. The teacher paused for a second and then started quietly sobbing. All right. I also have a story about someone getting caught wanking at school. Okay, all right. This is what I'm here for. School wanking.
Was this I asked for school wanking, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
I hope we get more than one school wank.
I feel like we're going to find out we were surrounded by school wankers.
Excellent.
Like, I feel like that's what we're going to learn. I feel like we're the only two people who had a moral opposition to like school baiting.
I am here for this. I'm strapped in.
This happened the year before I started high school, but it's kind of the story that lives on. Yeah, those are good stories. This guy was turbo into feet. And one of his classmates had come to school wearing thongs / flip-flops.
No.
Apparently the sight was just too distracting for him, and he decided to put his jacket over his crotch and just started jacking it in the middle of class. Sir.
What year is this?
God only knows. Well, I mean, like, prior to them being in high school, so we could be going back a little way, depending on how old Silas is. Apparently, yeah, so needless to say, he got caught and got into some serious trouble. Yes. No, like, getting wanking in, like, the toilets or something, if, like, look, is that appropriate? No. Have you at least found the appropriate location for that behavior? Yeah, all right. If someone interrupts you wanking in the toilets at school, some of that's on them. Because you shouldn't be interrupting anything happening in the toilets at school unless someone's, like, shouting for help, you know? But, like, in class, you've crossed various lines.
Also,
the middle of class.
Who wears thongs to school?
I don't know. I mean, people in my school did sometimes.
Really?
I mean, well, girls can get away with like open-toed shit. Like stuff that'll look like a thong, but it's
I'm pretty
not.
Sure, like at my school, everyone had to have closed shoes.
Well, yeah, your school probably did. Your school have like a uniform?
It did, yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, mine didn't.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
I had heard about this story on the bus ride home one day, and the next day I was walking with my friend Kevin at lunch and happened to mention what I heard. His face goes beet red and he looks at me meekly and said, yeah, that was me. Dude, you gonna Kevin? Okay, yeah, you gotta bully Kevin a bit for us.
Wait, so the feet masturbator was your friend?
Yeah, that's another thing that like...
I mean, it's great. It keeps coming.
I don't know if that would kill the friendship exactly, but it's gonna color it a bit.
It would set a precedent.
Yeah. Just be like, hey, you shouldn't do that. Oh, like I shouldn't fucking masturbate in class at feet. Yeah. Like that's gonna come up every time.
Like I'm worried. Like if you stay over, you're gonna look at you're gonna masturbate to my mom's feet. Like.
I'm not going to jack off to my mum's feet, are you? Bonus story about throwing up on someone if you're still interested in that too. Well, sure, why not?
Are you throwing up while masturbating? Like,
yeah, I threw up. I masturbated vomiting feet. My wife has had digestive upsets all her life, and when she was younger, she went on a long car trip with her mother. My wife started feeling queasy and kept saying to her mother that she didn't feel well. Her mother kept saying, oh, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. This went on for a while before once again my wife tried saying, I don't feel so good. But she only got as far as I don't feel before throwing up all over her mother. Her mother's only response was, I guess you really didn't feel good. At this point, they were stuck in construction traffic and there was nowhere to stop and clean off this for over an hour. I do like the idea of just someone going, I don't feel, and vomiting on mother. Like, that's just very funny to me. Like, it kind of takes on this mechanical component to me, like a robot just walking up going, I don't feel, huh? And then just vomits on you.
How do you like me now?
Okay, so, hey guys. Adelard Mortis again. Very quickly, my name is pronounced Adelard, not Adelard. Okay.
Adelaide. Okay.
When did I stop believing in Santa? Around my teens. That's late. Although, according to my dad, he and my mum talked about being upfront and honest with me at a very early age. It led to an argument that they later had where mum either forgot or denied any and all liability of telling me the truth. So when dad told me the truth, mum pulled him aside and they started bickering about the ethics of ruining Christmas magic. I don't really remember the incident in question, as for many years I had my own Christmas tradition of sleeping in the living room and attempting to stay up late in the hopes of seeing Santa. As for my favorite Christmas gift, I would have to go with at the time I got a Nintendo 64 as well as a couple of games. I can't remember the games I got. It's weird. Up until that point, Mum and Dad used to rent an N64 from Blockbuster, so that was a huge deal. Although I always think back to the one Christmas fondly more than any other, as it was the last Christmases I had when my parents were together. They divorced a little while after that, and I have had separate Christmases with them ever since. I never had a teacher make fun of me. The closest thing I had was a daycare worker having fun at my expense. Please forgive this, it takes a little bit of explanation. At the time, I contracted a hip disease called Calvé leg pathese. Calvé pathese, okay. Where some of the cartilage was worn away and therefore resulted in bone scraping against bone. Yeah, that ain't good. They first put a metal bracket in my hip to help stabilize it, but later found out that I was pulling my bones out of alignment. They then decided to try and turn my hip bone around. Okay, as that side had more cartilage. Isn't that just, like, shifting the problem, though? Needless to say, after my leg was so fucked up that I had to use crutches for a long-ass time. So at the daycare center I went to, we were doing some activities in the gym one day. As part of the routine, we had to stand straight against a wall near the entrance for the roll call before we could go and play. Me being in crutches, I was standing awkwardly and sort of leaning forward on one leg. The daycare worker there was going down the row of kids, stopped in front of me and with a big smile said, "Well, you can't stand straight at all, huh?" and proceeded to laugh at me, as they did the kids next to me. After I told my dad that she made fun of me for being in crutches, the daycare worker explained to my dad that she meant it as a joke. And once Dad was gone, that daycare worker proceeded to chew me out for tattling on her and implied that I was a dumbass for not being able to take a joke.
That's insane, dude.
Looking back on it now, yes, I'm able to laugh at the humor. It's just at the time, I liked the ability to see subtlety in humor. Plus, I used to be a very irritable little shit. Thanks for reading my dumb life stories. You guys rock, especially Gabe. You always made me laugh, even back when I first stumbled onto Artsy's YouTube channel.
I see how it is.
Yeah, you weird cripple.
I see how it is, especially Gabe.
You fucking cripple.
Oh, well, sure, I can. No more Aaron for Adelaide. This is like now you'll no longer hear me. I'll just cut me out of your feed specifically.
Well, his name is specifically Adelard.
I thought
to rhyme with gaytard. Greetings, Brothers Twist. This is from Russ. I have never been mocked by a teacher, but I have witnessed a teacher mock and subsequently emotionally cripple a student by accident. Sure. This is my sophomore year in high school, so the students are roughly 15 or 16 years old. The teacher, Mr. H, asks a question and then specifically calls on Grace, who is obviously daydreaming and thus not paying attention, for an answer. I know this was deliberate on his part because that sort of thing was his bread and butter for keeping students engaged. Yeah, to be fair. Grace begins returning to reality and asks, "What?" Mr. H then repeats the question, but the question itself was fairly esoteric and not a simple matter to address. Grace, who is now attempting to catch up with the portion of the lesson which she missed.
What does esoteric mean?
Like, come on, brain, esoteric, to something specific to, like, unknown to others. So almost like a secret.
Right,
you know?
okay.
So, like, it's not something you could just fake.
Right, sure.
You know, like, if I asked you about, like, I don't know, like imagine we have an in-joke. That would be esoteric to us.
Sure.
Where are we? Okay. Grace, who is now attempting to catch up to the portion of the lesson which she missed and also grappling with the new obscure quandary, repeats, What? Without missing a beat, Mr. H immediately begins shouting, "Say what again? Say what again? I double dare you! Say what one more goddamn time!" Most of us begin laughing because this is clearly a humorous reference, which is also situationally relevant. It is, but, and I say this as someone who likes to do that all the time, I had to switch all of that off when I was doing prac, because kids won't get shit, and you'll have just, like, called them stupid and ugly in a very, and it's hilarious, but you
can't do it.
Yeah,
you just can't.
Like, the amount of times, you know, like, and again, it's lots of Simpsons ones for me. And, like, some of them are just bizarre and really, again, I use the word esoteric, like, you know, the bit where the fucking Mr. Blackheart, the ivory dealer, just goes, "Yes, my pretty," at Lisa. Always makes me laugh. But, like, and, like, every time some fucking little girl will go, "Yeah, you know," I was really, "Yeah," you know, my first thought is go, "Yes, my pretty." No one will get that, and I'll get yelled at.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You know, there's just one problem. Grace has never seen Pulp Fiction. From her point of view, Mr. H has just gone from 0 to 60 in a fraction of a second and is now screaming at her with genuine hatred. What? She squeaks once more as tears begin to well up in her eyes. Mr. H abruptly realizes that he has catastrophically fucked up and spends a full minute issuing an apology. One which ends with showing the entire class that particular scene on YouTube. Grace is and always has been a sensitive soul, and I suspect to this day that this failed joke took years off her life. In his defense, however, Mr. H is still the best English teacher I ever had. Enjoying the podcast. Keep up the great work.
Well, of course he is. He abuses little girls. So you just, that's very funny to you. I see your humor.
I mean, again, yeah, like, that is, again, that's a killer reference, but also, like, I mean, A, Pulp Fiction came out in 94, which may as well be fucking the olden days, and B, it's Pulp Fiction.
It's an R film.
Yeah, you know, and, like, it's not like a fucking R film that doesn't deserve to be R either.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
there's a good chance that a lot of young kids will not have seen that.
There is a lot in that movie that is certainly mature. I mean, I saw it when I was 11, but Dad didn't give a fuck about that. You know, it's fine if you've got a parent around to contextualize your, you know, rape dungeons.
Yeah.
That, to this day, like, that and, like, Silence of the Lambs. There's just two things I saw when they came out when I was, like, fucking 8 and 11.
I remember seeing Silence of the Lambs when I was young.
Yeah.
I didn't see Pulp Fiction when I was young.
Just like the Gimp. Because, like, the Gimp lives in a chest. And I'm like, that just put a dent in my brain. I'm like, how does someone's life get there? Like, I understand, like, Zed and Maynard kind of makes sense. It's still fucked up, but it's like, all right. But, like, where do you get a Gimp? Does he eat? Like, I assume they have to feed him.
John McGinley in Leathers is a sight. Because that was a great reference in Scrubs where they go into, he goes, careful, newbie. The Gimp's chained up. and he tries to get at him.
Yeah.
It's great.
Okay, this is from John. Hello, Aaron and Gabe.
Hi, John.
There was one kid at high school who frequently masturbated in the toilets.
Fucking!
Yeah. On a side note, he was severely autistic. Okie dokie. I've heard about this when I was doing some prac work at a special needs school, where it's like the absolute worst thing that can happen is if one of the particularly severely impaired children discovers wanking.
Yeah.
Because you basically just have to put a fucking chastity belt on them.
Yeah. Because it's just, they get pleasure.
Yeah. There's no, don't do that.
Yeah, it's just like
translate. You could tell he was masturbating because you could hear it from the toilet entrance. Oh. Fuck yeah. Outside of jacking it in the toilets, he would fondle himself while staring with his dopey fucking grin in public. All right, like that's a big problem. You can, again, the toilets, okay, but making noise, that's probably not great. Again, you got to keep this shit to yourself. He plagued my junior high school years until he finally got a handler. He once took pictures of me with his school mandated iPad while I was napping. Well, why were you napping? You can't sleep around them, they'll bite you. Another time, he chased me onto the Oval and I had to run for my life with a bag full of all my notebooks and textbooks because I was a Luddite with no planning ability. None of my friends helped me. Yeah, that's fair. They just watched and laughed. Yeah, that's fair. In my mind, I'm watching and laughing right now.
Yeah, I'm just picturing this fucking, like, monged up kid chasing you around, screeching at you.
He had, also, they were probably scared of getting touched with his unwashed cum-coated hands. Yeah, like, that's fair. He has a YouTube channel. Huh. That's a twist I didn't expect.
Fucking excuse me? Do we have links?
And he has a brother who also has a YouTube channel. His brother is a druggo. Yes, there's a link.
Oh, fuck yes.
Yeah, we'll look at that later, but I bet it will be sad. This is from Joe. I don't really remember when I realized Santa did not exist, but I asked my parents if they remembered when I did, and they told me.
Hello, Joe! I had to.
That's fair. Apparently I was 7 or 8 and it was just after Christmas. My parents had sent me to bed and about 10 minutes later I came out of my room and asked them to turn off the TV so I could talk to them. They did so, worried that I was going to, in almost stupid childhood tact, try to explain to them that Santa wasn't real. Apparently I was smart enough to figure out that Santa couldn't possibly do everything he was supposed to do, but not smart enough to realize that my parents already knew that and were the ones pretending. The best present was actually fairly recent, only 3 years ago. It wasn't anything flashy, just a few toiletries, some laundry detergent, and a few religious books I've never read. It was more the timing and the fact that someone went out of their way to give me something. I was working at a dead-end, soul-crushing retail job for minimum wage, living out of my car that I couldn't legally drive because I couldn't afford insurance, looking for a place I could afford and not finding one, and watching my faith collapse around my ears. Even now that I've left the cult that she and I were both a part of, she is the only friend from that time I keep in touch with. I've also been mocked by a teacher, one that I had for a year and a half. She started out as a substitute when one of my regular teachers had some sort of accident, then became a full-time teacher when I moved up a grade, and she followed me to the next grade. She would go after me and a couple of other students for the slightest thing, always using us as a bad example or reading out loud something that we had written that she didn't like. Yeah, that's probably not good. Her son, one of the untouchable American football players, was also a massive bully, so I wasn't really surprised. Thanks for taking time to read this. I really enjoy your content, and this podcast series is one of the best. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Hey, thanks.
Well, at least you're able to, not live in a car now.
Yeah. He's moved up. Now he's living in a moped.
Yeah.
Wait, that's a downgrade.
This is from All Dreams Fall Down. Hi, guys. I get the Santa answers out of the way as they're pretty mundane. Yes, I believed in Santa up to a certain point, as most children do, and my favorite Christmas present was my PS1 I got for Christmas in '95, which still works to this day. That's pretty good. That's a fucking antique.
You said PS1?
Yeah, in '95.
Did you get, was it a, when you say PS1, was it a actual PS1 or a PlayStation 1?
Well, it would be a PlayStation. Well, it's from '95. So it'll be a PlayStation 1. It'll be like the original model.
Because so for those who were getting confused, they actually
released a thing called the PS1.
Yeah, which was a smaller one. But then there's also different names in Japan. It's confusing. Anyway,
but it's from Christmas '95, so it's it's the OG. When I was around 5 or 6 in infant school, as it was called. Where? The class were all given boxes of crayons. I'm colorblind, so it was fortunate that these crayons had the colors written on the sides. But after a couple of minutes of using them, I noticed that all the crayons were brown ones. I took them to the teacher, and she felt the need to pull them out of the box to show the whole class. They all laughed, including her. They were probably laughing at the crayons, but I still felt this was a bit of a cunty thing for a teacher to do. I mean, it's funny that, the colorblind kid wound up with a box full of brown crayons. That is funny. I mean, he probably could have, better made it not look like he was making fun of you.
Yeah.
Okay, from Kaiba. Question 1. I can't remember when I stopped believing in Santa. I think it was maybe 8, and my older brother told me that he was made by the Coke Company. Something like that. Question 2. My favorite Christmas was probably the Nintendo 64. It wasn't really my Christmas present, but more the family's. But anyway, it was so hype. We got Mario along with it, and Zelda and Mario Kart. I think I was 5 or 6 at the time, and my childish brain thought it was the best thing ever. Question 3. No teacher was mean to me. Haha. Bonus question. I do know that some people did masturbate at school. Someone took Viagra as a joke. Fuck that. That's dangerous, man. You don't want to be doing that. And he had to wank in the school toilets. When he came out, people clapped. Someone also tried to quit smoking, and he replaced smoking with wanking. So, one time in art class, he really wanted to smoke and was getting really antsy, and he finally caged and asked the teacher, who obviously wasn't in on what was going on, to go to the toilet. So he rushed back and came back a good 15 minutes later. People tried not to laugh.
I love that. Just in my
chew
mind,
gum.
This kid getting antsy in class because he needs to smoke.
Yeah,
that's insane to me.
Well, I knew a bunch of kids in high school who smoked. And
I knew of kids that smoked. I didn't know any personally.
Ah, yeah, I was one of the only kids in the grade that didn't. All right, it's from Kustos. I only remember this happening listening to the podcast, but I was kind of mocked by a teacher in middle school, so around 14 to 15 years old. It was typing class, so an excuse to use the school computers mostly. We were just setting up, I believe it was the first lesson of the course, had settled into my seat, logged into the computer, and just idling and spacing out. The teacher, a quite ancient-looking woman, starts to do roll call, and for some reason when she gets to me, she says, "And you, little boy?" And after this, I just have a vivid memory of logging out, gathering my things into my bag, getting up and walking out of school, thinking I'm not dealing with this today. This was, of course, escalated as I had left class without permission, and when I got asked about it, I put in a complaint against the teacher excluding me from my peers with her behavior. I won.
Cool. And
sincerely,
you, little boy.
Yeah, sincerely, little boy. All right, Jesus Christ. This is 4 hours long, this one.
Oh, God.
It is titled Classroom Gentleman's Release. Dear Twistcasters, I have stories for y'all's questions, but they're all fairly standard, and the recent aside in the episode Santa Claus about wanking in school required me to wide in. I have known someone who jacked off, not even in the toilet at school, but in class. For privacy's sake, and so Gabe can easily remember his name, we'll refer to the kiddo as Drumstick. You can call me Carol. Okay. Drumstick was one of a set of triplets. He was the shortest, the youngest, and by far away the absolute weirdest. He didn't seem to have many, if any, friends, and though he was a grade younger than me, I didn't spend any time around him in class. But crucially, my girlfriend at the time did, and she was in the same grade and in several classes with him. My girlfriend was a ballerina and extremely attractive. I was very lucky and I really liked her, but I was also a stupid teen with no capacity to grapple with the ensuing situation. As we ascended to the next year in school, I was in 11th grade and they were in 10th, my girlfriend suddenly had several more classes with drumstick and began to notice the bizarre behavior of his. Every time she'd wear anything even slightly revealing, like a tank top or a sundress, he would sit in the desk very strangely with his knees against his desk and his foot/feet against the seat, visibly pressing into his junk. He would do this about 2 to 3 minutes, getting noticeably redder in the face until he would loudly exhale a sharp breathy and then resume a normal seated position. This behavior was most noticeable if she ever took the sweater off or jacket, and he would immediately take up the bizarre folded position and rapidly reach his puh. The detail that clenched what was happening were the very obvious wet spots on the jeans that he would wear every day. Yes, he wore the same pair of jeans to school every day. This kid was weird. Now, what was obviously bad for several reasons. I was young and hot-headed, and it made me quite mad that somebody was jacking it to my gal. That was my job. My girlfriend was a good sport about it and I actually thought it was quite funny at first, but as the weeks went on, he continued doing it every single day. It really started to chip away at her and began impacting her academic performance in these classes. That really bugged her, as she was quite a good student, better than me, and one night she asked me to do something about it. I attempted to talk to her teachers, but they either didn't believe me, fair enough, or told me to have her report him to the vice principal and he would be disciplined, which she did. Amazingly, he totally admitted to it and was sent to ISS, in-school suspension, for a couple of weeks. Problem solved, right? Not even close. After 2 weeks, he was back to pieing louder and more often than before, and my girlfriend was reduced to hysterical tears at least once or twice a week, and was a lot less physically intimate with me, which really steamed teenage me. Especially because prior to this, we'd been very affectionate and carefree, so this was really taking a toll on her. By this time, I was going around the school that this was happening, and while Drumstick was the target of much mockery and derision, it didn't hinder his quest for pleasure at all, and my girlfriend was also getting a lot of jokes and jabs because teenagers are shitheads. The straw that broke the camel's back came when her parents suggested she switch schools. An extreme reaction, but she was really suffering, and I began to think I'd never see her again, and got desperate and did something very foolish. I solicited the help of my beefiest friend, and he and I cornered Drumstick as he was at his locker one day, and we proceeded to rough him up a little. I told him if he kept this up, we would keep this up if he kept this up, and he better just stop before he got himself really hurt. I then proceeded to push him extremely too hard, face first into the lockers, and break his nose, really hurting him. We dragged him into the nurse's office, knocked on the door, and ran, leaving him there covered in blood. I was young and stupid, and naturally I got in a lot of trouble both at home and at school. I was straight up suspended from school for a couple of days when my girlfriend thankfully spoke up for me and said she had asked me to do something, but not this, and my sentence was cut short, as it were. Academic advice is working with my girlfriend to get her, out of classes with Drumstick, and he soon found another hot girl to fixate on, and nothing much changed for him. I continued to date the girl in question for 2 more years until we parted company due to her sleeping with my best friend at the time. But that's another story. I apologize for the length of this tale. I did the best I could to condense it, but there are many details that if you have questions, I'll happily answer them. I love the new podcast and watching each episode you cover. There is a channel called Twisted Lunch on YouTube that has HD rips of Round the Twist. So there's no excuse, listeners. Go watch this incredible insanity. You all are some of the best creators out there right now. Keep up the good work. Much love from the Deep South. I don't know,
Thank you.
If you tell someone to not, masturbating in class, it's one thing to, think about someone at home. That's your business.
Yeah.
But, you can't, you're not allowed to, fucking intrude on their reality with that shit.
No.
Let alone doing it in fucking class.
No.
Fuck you. Kick him in the head.
Yeah, so that's, by the way, that channel that they mentioned, that's the one I link in the pinned comments, guys. So, yeah, a few people have gone, I don't understand. I've literally pinned every single episode under. So go watch it.
You asked for this. I tell you that. Hi, Aaron and Gabe. You can call me by my first name, Sasha. Since you guys earlier mentioned in the episode if you ever knew anyone who cranked it in class, boy, do I have a story for you.
I expected 1 or 2 people, not every single person to go, yeah, no.
It's been nothing but school. I think there's another 3 to go.
Oh, what's
there was this one kid who was in one of the clubs I was in. I think he may have had some sort of disability, but to me he always come off as just kind of a weird, nerdy kid. See, that's a problem. Because, there are people who are just, on the fucking edge of a bunch of things. And so they never really get diagnosed, so they might, maybe they would benefit from some form of treatment, but we just never find that out.
Yeah.
They're just, weird. Anyway, there wasn't any indication that there was something deeply wrong with him or anything, just kind of a nerd. So during our exam period in high school, one of my friend's sisters had a class with him. To clarify what I'm about to say isn't a secondhand rumor. This was something that very much happened. Apparently, halfway through the test, he began to massage his crotch area before eventually moving his hand beneath the surface, all while quietly whimpering to himself. My sister's friend was right next to him, and she explained her first-hand experience to us. He was removed from class by a teacher who really did not ever expect to have this situation ever. Afterwards, the family apparently moved schools, and I never heard from him again. It was a big deal for weeks, and everyone knew about it. Yeah. Hello, Lynn is fine. This didn't happen to me. but I did watch this particularly bizarre set of insinuations teacher to student. It was middle school and we were learning basic genetics. The teacher talked about color blindness with some slides of color blindness tests, a circle of bubbles, and some colored, differently to make a number. So like there's an example here, the 74.
Yeah.
The boy was having trouble making out the number. The teacher more or less implied that he should be careful of who he has children with, which is an interesting thing for a teacher to talk to in middle school about. Ooh. And this was before the sex ed course. Yeah, that's a weird thing to come up with just in a colorblind thing. Like
I get what they mean with the genetics and stuff, but also you don't say that to kids.
Yeah, it's not
weird.
Contextually relevant.
No.
Then a girl spoke up, saying she was having trouble seeing the numbers. The teacher advised them, hopefully jokingly, not to have children together. This was presumably not to produce inferior hunter-gatherer children who will die of brightly colored snakes and poisoned berries. I specifically remember grimacing and gritting my teeth, hoping we moved on from my first eugenics family planning session. I remember the teacher didn't let it go for a while. That's weird.
Yeah.
Bringing it up whenever relevant, because we were in for a few chapters about genetics. It came up disturbingly often. At the very least, they got their revenge when it came time for sex ed, where the teacher put up a no questions asked, those question box where you could anonymously stuff a paper slip with whatever your horny-addled middle school brain could come up with, or at least something you wanted the middle-aged balding science teacher to put up on a PowerPoint and read out aloud. Love the show. Thanks for all the hard work. Okay. Hello, Aaron and Gabe. First of all, really liking the Round the Twist commentary series. I don't think I'll ever watch the show, though. You two being the only people I've ever heard talk about Round the Twist leaves open the tiniest possibility that you're making it up. That's fair. I am more amused by the idea of you going to extreme lengths to convince people that what sounds like an Australian X-Files, as directed by Tommy Wiseau, exists, than it is actually existing. Of the topics discussed in the most recent video, someone at my school did admit to masturbating in the toilets at an all-boys secondary school. I mean, look, if it's an all-boys school, I don't think it matters. I just assume that you're always masturbating everywhere. We were 17 or 18 at the time, and he was talking about it as if it were years ago. It seemed really weird, but not enough to exact playground retribution at the time. I was mocked by a teacher at primary school. I was struggling with some homework, and instead of bringing in the assignment, I brought in a letter my mum wrote saying that she, too, a teacher, had struggled with it. Words to the effect of, "Oh, do we need letters from mummy because of the hard work?" were directed from the teacher to me in front of the class. I was 11.
Oof.
This is not the limit of my experience. There was my year 2 teacher who was overtly rude and condescending to children and to parents the whole time I knew her. A year 7 teacher who instructed everyone to high five when one particular student was absent. Oy.
Whoa!
Treatment was a little different when she was present. Throughout secondary school, numerous rumors of kids being called stupid with malign sincerity. My partner had a diary confiscated and read aloud in other classes the offending teacher had. I understand space is limited, so I'll stop now, but I could go on for ages. Yeah, that ain't good. My confidence in Father Christmas was first shaken at about 6 years old when I left a picture off for him under the tree to take home with his mince pie. Okay. He left it under the tree. My suspicions were finally confirmed a year or two later when presents from Father Christmas and my grandmother had the same identical copper plate handwriting. I was unfazed due to the aforementioned letdown, but it was a real awakening for my little sister. Christmas 2000 saw me get a bike and a Thunderbirds Tracy Island playset. Are you 50? There were other brilliant gifts I had over the years, but I spent time using these gifts and them coinciding on the same year made them stand out. If we are just counting childhood Christmas gifts. I have never been up, let alone chased up a bell tower. I've never really had a tiny mouth. Damn it.
Dude,
I wanted one tiny mouth.
You know, the crazy thing is now that saying Thunderbirds, that jogged my memory. Thunderbirds toys were out for a really fucking long time.
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
I just never knew anyone that was ever interested in, like, my dad liked Thunderbirds.
I liked the look of the Thunderbird toys, but I never wanted them. Like, because they were just
Thunderbirds.
Exactly. They looked cool, but
it's not to say it was bad, but like, I mean, it wasn't even the best of the fucking, Jerry marionettes fucking shows.
Just bizarre.
I feel like I have always known about the birds and the bees. I know I haven't, but I can't remember any singular demystifying or traumatizing moment when all was made clear like in the movies. On that topic, though, sex ed at school was interesting. We had a student teacher covering it with us. From Ghana. Now imagine the phrase, "the penis goes into the vagina," in a thick Ghanaian accent in front of 12-year-olds. Yeah, that's a bit of a misfire. Like, it's no one's fault, but it's just that thing. Like,
Yeah.
Speaking off topic, I have heard Aaron has outspoken fear of the ocean, and in particular shipwrecks. As a scuba diver, I have experience around both. And it would give me great pleasure to show footage of a dive to you should the opportunity arise. One of the more comforting thoughts would no doubt be that if I ever send you footage, it means nothing goes wrong on film. Keep up the good work.
Unless it's like a death video that's like, send to this guy if I die. Look, I watched diving things and shipwreck things to like give me that little bit of sort of confidence, push over it.
Yeah.
And like the tale of that dude who died in that cave dive trying to retrieve another guy's body is just like,
why are you going down there? Some power vids. I stopped believing in Santa at about 4 or 5. I can't remember, but it was the day of Christmas, and the presents that we had gotten were the same ones my mother put in the storage closet. I was glad that for now the middleman nonsense was cut out and I could go straight to her for the crap I wanted. My favorite Christmas present was getting both the GameCube and the original Xbox. Ooh, Mr. Rich
holy
cunt.
shit.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's
And
insane.
fucking Xbox. Just chuck a fucking, PS3 on top of that.
I had to wait till my mum got fucking pregnant to get a GameCube.
You go, Aaron. You're not getting no one's paying attention to you for the next 5 years.
Pretty much, yeah. It was like, here's the soulless gift.
The major thing that teachers as well as other kids, of course, would bully me over was having a name that once translated from Spanish was a day of the week. So despite being Mexican, I looked very white, and they would always call me by that translated name for years. And the teachers, of course, thought it was a game, I guess, and would themselves call me that as well. Anyway, enjoying the podcast.
Wait, we're not going to get what the name was?
No, apparently
Damn
not.
it.
I'm just guessing his name's like Wednesday. We could just look up what Wednesday is in Mexican or some shit.
That's true.
Okay. This is from Daniel. Howdy, folks. Hope you're doing well.
Hi,
what was
Daniel.
the best Christmas present you ever received? For Christmas of 1994, my family traveled to California to visit relatives. This was the only time we all traveled via airplane, and all subsequent trips were done in road vehicles of some sort. So as you can imagine, my 5-year-old self was quite excited to go up in a plane. The trip was nice. We stayed with my mother's side of the family, and I did receive a lot of great gifts, including an armored Spider-Man that I promptly lost. But the best gift still awaited us back in Houston. After the ride back home, we pulled into our driveway and noticed a package on the front porch with a letter from Santa saying the words to the effect, "Sorry, I forgot to bring you this, so I figured I'd leave it at your house." After getting everything out of the car, we opened up the package to reveal a Sega Genesis and a Meneser light gun. Oh, wild. I and my siblings had played a lot of Sega at the daycare we stayed at, mostly Eternal Champion, Sonic 2, and Gunstar Heroes. So we were happy to finally have one of our own. That's a good run of games. Never did get the Menacer to work right, but it was great for the other forms of play. Fun fact, the removable stock really hurts when you conk your older brother on the head with it. But we ended up playing the system for several years and would always remember the story about how Santa brought it to our house. Have you ever eaten to the point of vomiting? Yes, I remember the Halloween of 1998. I was 8 years old, and it was the first time I got a proper costume instead of essentially a cheap one with a crappy plastic mask. I went as a Mortal Kombat-style ninja. After a long night of gathering candy, I decided to eat the entire haul from that night, which was a pillowcase full of treats, every single bite. Needless to say, I hawked the whole thing up a little while after finishing. Red-tinted vomit pouring out of my mouth like a geyser, and apparently mostly whole pieces of Reese's Butterfingers and the like spread all over my sheets. My mother still likes telling the story to this day, and my family has always reminded me not to eat it all for years afterwards. It was the most I ever threw up, and it changed my life forever. Anyhow, thanks for the years of content you provided me. Wishing you all the best. I think we're on the last one, yeah. All right. Dear Aaron and Gabe, have you ever had a tiny mouth? Excellent. I injured my mouth in a melon-related incident.
Fucking
excellent. And pulled my jaw muscles to the point where opening my mouth even slightly was extremely painful. For a few weeks, I had to live on a liquid diet or eat very thin food. While not as comically literal as Round the Twist, I temporarily had a tiny mouth. No, that counts.
That counts. Well done.
Okay, have you ever been in a bell tower? No, but I have been in a bell choir in school. Okay, each kid in the row had 2 bells for 2 notes. Mine were the size of hams, and we had to time them with the tempo of the music to play Carol of the Bells. Seeing as how my bells were larger, I had the low tones and basically only rung them 5 times through the whole song. I like to imagine being stuck in a bell choir as much like being stuck in a bell tower, but I could not recommend the former. Have you ever been mocked by a teacher? I personally was not mocked, but there was a male teacher at our high school who unintentionally made a very interesting comment in front of a group of 15-year-olds. For some reason, we had to pretend that we were in a business setting and take turns giving presentations. I can't remember, what the subject was. We had to dress in suits and ties, and after it was all done, the teacher looked at one shy but pretty girl and said, "Girl's name, you had the breast presentation."
Ooh.
God, I hope that was an accident. At which point the entire classroom exploded into chaos and the poor girl just lowered her head and tried not to cry. The teacher in school tried to just pass off as if it never happened, but even made it way into the yearbook with a cartoon of the teacher saying something to the effect of, "The student with the best presentation will get to spend time after school with the teachers," with the corrected word and as a less than subtle nod to the event. Thanks for the content, Iron Ferret. I want to feel like that because you can fuck that up. That could be a fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad one. But also that can be a fuck up. I mean, because like you don't want to add like bullying is one thing. Like like as a lot of the stories kind of demonstrated, there's a lot of situations that just flat out get away with bullying.
Yeah.
Commenting on tits, that's people,
it's a little.
Sometimes people actually notice that when
yes.
At least these days,
definitely. So that has been episode 7,
the Great Gum Leaf War. So have you ever felt? Remember, so I have felt like this at yahoo.com. That's where you send your emails. So we can read and laugh at your weird school masturbators and things.
Not at yahooSerious.com.
It's a very different website. So we have you ever felt ugly or pretty? So just, one event where you've felt particularly one way or the other. Don't just tell us you've been hideous your whole life, because I don't want to read 400 fucking letters of that. Try to have an event.
An event hideous.
Yeah. Have you ever been hospitalized with some kind of injury? Or can you play an instrument? Maybe a little story about your musical ability or something. Remember, that is at I have felt like this, all lowercase, at yahoo.com, so we can laugh at your expense and at Drumstick's expense.
I am Aaron Twist. You can find me on the interwebs at KEC Aaron on Twitter.
Yep. I'm Gabriel on Guard at Twitter. It used to be Drumstick, but I changed it because people kept bullying me.
Yeah, that's fair. You're a very drumstick bullyable man.
I had to change my name after an event I don't want to talk about.
Good night. Good luck.
All right.
We have felt like this.
Night. Bye.